Alright, gents, sorry I'm away, but I'm at a PD for today and tomorrow, so decided to pre-record these explanations. Hopefully helps you a little bit more while in my absence. So looking at 8G, factorising trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, we've been dealing with trinomials for a couple of weeks now, so there's nothing new about them. When they're in this form, let's say, for example, x squared minus 3x minus 40, that's what we've been dealing with. The difference now is that we are putting a different coefficient with x squared. We've only been dealing with the coefficient of 1x squared. So now we're going to have a coefficient of greater than 1. So when we have a coefficient of 1, as we've been dealing with, they're called monic trinomials. Now we're going to look at non-monic trinomials. And that is when, let's say, our coefficient for x squared is greater than 1. So when you go coefficient greater than 1 for your first term, then it makes it a lot harder to factorize, because then you've got another term or another piece of information in your terms that you need to find a common factor for. And you can't just use highest common factor straight away like we have been. So we need to revisit grouping in pairs, which I taught you on Monday. But before we get to grouping in pairs, we need to understand that the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is the standard form of the trinomial, of the non-monic trinomials. And that's really important, because we're going to use these letters a, b, and c to represent or to describe the positions of our coefficients in the equation, or in the expression, I should say. It's not an equation yet. So the first thing you can see in the expression that's different to what I've written in green is that our c value here is negative. So we need to remember that, because that's an important piece of information. And it's important because we need to, in order to find factors, we need to find a multiple first. And the multiple that we're going to find is of a and c. So if we were to multiply a and c, in this case is 5 and negative 6. So 5 times negative 6 gives us negative 30. And the reason it's important to realize that our c is negative is because when we list out our factors of negative 30, we'll need to list negative numbers as well. So we've got negative 1 and 30, negative 30 and 1, negative 2 and 15, negative 15 and 2. So now we've got double the amount of factors than what we would if we just had positive 30, because now we also need to write negative 3 and 10, negative 10 and 3, negative 5 and 6, negative 6 and 5. So they're all our factors of 30. We need to find two numbers that multiply to give negative 30. I mean, that's pretty easy, because we can choose any of those, because that's what we've just done. We just factorized negative 30. But we need to find two numbers that add to give our b value. And our b value is positive 13. And that's right there. Because we're going to split that 13x into 2 like we were on Monday. And then we're going to factorize by grouping in pairs. So if you look at your factors in the tree underneath the negative 30 in green, the two numbers that add to give positive 13 are negative 2 and 15. So negative 2 plus 15 gives you positive 13. If you're sitting there thinking, what about negative 15 and 2? Well, negative 15 plus 2 gives you negative 13, and we're looking for a positive 13. So what we do then, we come back to our expression. Our 5x squared will stay where it is, but instead of writing 13x, I am going to write negative 2x plus 15x minus 6. And I can actually take out that plus sign, and I can just write minus 2x. Now I'm going to factorize each group of pairs. So the common factor between 5x squared and negative 2x is x. which leaves us with 5x minus 2. And then the common factor between 15x and negative 6 is 3, which leaves us with 5x minus 2. Do these two brackets match? Yes, they do. Perfect, we're on the right track. So I'll write it down again, 5x minus 2. And then my other set of brackets will be what's not in the brackets in the line above, and it'll be x plus 3. Okay, what's not in the brackets above gets written in there. That's method 1 that we need to learn. Go and watch method 2.